Vanished. The enigma of missing Japanese citizens. On a fateful night in June 1978, a young, 22-year-old, single mother of two, Iyako Taguchi, vanished without a trace. She was working her customary late-night shift in the heart of Tokyo. In Kabukicho, Japan's vibrant and often chaotic entertainment district, sometimes referred to as Kabukicho Hollywood. As the clock struck midnight, Iyako completed her shift and stepped out of the Kabukicho establishment, never to be seen again. She seemingly disappeared into thin air. Initially, no one suspected foul play in Iyako's disappearance. It was assumed she would return. Years passed, and the case grew cold. However, several years later, her former manager was finally questioned by authorities. He claimed that everyone at the time simply assumed Iyako had resigned when she failed to report for her next scheduled shift. Coincidentally, during this period, unsettling rumors circulated throughout Japan. Whispers of North Korean spies operating covertly within the country, allegedly abducting unsuspecting Japanese citizens and holding them hostage within the secretive borders of North Korea. Despite the growing unease, the Japanese government dismissed these claims, categorizing them as mere conspiracy theories, too outlandish to be true. They believed such abductions were simply impossible. Tragically, Iyako's disappearance remained unsolved, becoming a cold case shrouded in mystery, and nearly a decade would pass before a single clue to our location finally surfaced. This breakthrough came in the wake of a horrifying series of events. In November 1987, as South Korea prepared to welcome the world for the Olympic Games in its bustling capital, Seoul, tragedy struck when a Korean Airlines flight exploded midair. While soaring above the tranquil waters of the Andaman Sea, the devastating act of terror claimed the lives of 115 innocent souls. The ensuing investigation uncovered a chilling truth. Two North Korean operatives, acting on direct orders from the highest echelons of the North Korean government, had secretly planted an explosive device in an overhead compartment before disembarking during a layover in the vibrant city of Abu Dhabi. As authorities closed in, tightening the net around the two perpetrators, one chose a desperate escape, ending his own life with a cyanide-laced cigarette. However, the South Korean government successfully apprehended the remaining agent, the woman directly culpable for the horrific bombing. Under intense interrogation, she confessed to enduring 6 grueling years of preparation for this deadly mission. For 3 of those years, her training partner was none other than Iyako Taguchi. For 3 intense years, she had trained alongside him, who meticulously coached her in the nuances of Japanese language and customs, ensuring she could seamlessly blend in and avoid detection. This elaborate charade was orchestrated to allow her to operate discreetly, effectively flying under the radar of suspicion, as subsequent revelations would unearth. Yuko's case was not an isolated incident. She was far from the sole female victim, ensnared in the North Korean government's clandestine abduction program. To date, the Japanese government has officially acknowledged and confirmed the abductions of 17 of its citizens, corroborating their forced disappearances and validating the long-held suspicions. These individuals were forcibly taken by North Korean agents, their lives irrevocably altered. The abductions spanned a chilling period from 1977 to 1983, with a deeply disturbing pattern emerging. Many victims were audaciously snatched in broad daylight, their disappearances brazen and shocking. They were often swiftly and unceremoniously bundled onto boats bound for North Korea, vanishing without a trace. One might initially surmise that the victims were entangled in illicit activities, somehow attracting the unwanted attention of the North Korean regime. However, thorough investigations paint a different picture. Most were ordinary individuals, leading unremarkable lives, who tragically found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Victims of circumstance. One woman was abducted while simply walking to a knitting class. Her mundane routine shattered in an instant. 2 others were seized while on a leisurely vacation to Europe. Their holiday turned into a nightmare. In another heart-wrenching case, a 13-year-old girl was snatched while innocently walking home from school, her young life forever altered. Some of these unfortunate individuals were abducted for the sinister purpose of identity theft, while others, like Iyako, were forcibly taken to North Korea against their will. Their mission: to educate North Korean spies in the intricacies of Japanese language and culture. Once the abductions were confirmed without a shred of doubt, leaving no room for denial, the North Korean government was left with no alternative but to step forward and issue a formal apology for their actions. However, they asserted that out of the 17 acknowledged victims, a mere 5 remained alive. In the ensuing years, the North Korean government periodically sent back to Japan what they purported to be the cremated ashes of some of the deceased abductees. However, subsequent DNA analysis would swiftly unveil that virtually all of the remains were fraudulent, fabricated evidence. This deception led the Japanese government to suspect that a far greater number of the kidnapping victims were still alive, contrary to North Korea's claims. To this day, the North Korean government has steadfastly adhered to its narrative, maintaining that there were only 13 victims of abduction, and that those who survived the ordeal were safely repatriated to Japan. Astonishingly, they insist that all living victims have been returned, a claim met with widespread skepticism. Shockingly, while the official stance of the Japanese government acknowledges 17 abduction cases, a comprehensive list of potential victims indicates a staggering possibility of up to 800 individuals having suffered the same fate. Unfortunately, considering the prevailing political climate, uncovering the complete truth behind these disappearances seems improbable. Holding the North Korean government fully responsible for these heinous acts appears equally unlikely. Just recently, I found myself squandering precious hours, time that could have been dedicated to creating sounds of a heart attack and a gunshot. Back in the 1970s, investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a groundbreaking article in the New York Times, in which he leveled accusations against the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, of orchestrating multiple assassination attempts, targeting both foreign leaders and American political figures, whom they deemed to be anti-war dissidents. In response to these serious allegations, the United States Senate launched a formal inquiry into the CIA, investigating potential abuses of covert operations. This investigation culminated in the publication of 14 comprehensive reports detailing significant wrongdoings perpetrated by the CIA, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the National Security Agency, NSA. Two of the United States' most powerful intelligence organizations were facing a barrage of accusations, with the majority of reports alleging criminal activity. These accusations included offenses such as the egregious violation of privacy by surreptitiously opening and resealing the private mail of American citizens over a period of several years, and the illegal surveillance and harassment of Black Power activists exercising their constitutional rights. While these allegations were undeniably grave and deeply concerning in their own right, they were overshadowed by one particularly shocking accusation, a claim that bordered on the unbelievable. This accusation, which initially circulated as a wild conspiracy theory, posited that the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, had secretly developed a highly advanced pistol capable of firing a deadly poison dart with incredible accuracy over a distance exceeding 300 feet. This weapon was allegedly designed to silently eliminate a target, leaving behind absolutely no discernible trace of the cause of death, effectively making the assassination untraceable. The shocking truth, later revealed to the public, was that this seemingly outlandish theory was, in fact, a chilling reality. The creation of this lethal poison dart gun was merely one component of a larger, clandestine program with far-reaching implications, known cryptically as MK Naomi. Under the shroud of secrecy, the CIA, through this program, actively pursued the development of insidious weapons intended for biological warfare. In 1975, the weight of these revelations forced William Colby, the then director of the CIA, a man accustomed to operating in the shadows, to testify under oath before a Senate committee, specifically tasked with investigating the agency's activities and potential wrongdoings. Under interrogation, the subject alleged that the CIA had developed an arsenal of biological weapons as part of a clandestine operation to eliminate key German leaders during the Second World War. He further asserted that this research extended far beyond the war's conclusion, continuing well into the post-war era. The subject also described the poison dart gun as being virtually silent in operation, attributed to the battery concealed within its handle. He claimed it was meticulously engineered for a specific target, ensuring the victim would experience no more than a fleeting sensation. akin to a mosquito bite, upon the dart's impact. Interestingly, he revealed that the agency employed a unique shellfish toxin to effectively obscure the true cause of death, rendering it virtually untraceable. This deception would lead forensic pathologists to mistakenly conclude that the victim had succumbed to an unexplained and sudden cardiac arrest. Further complicating matters, the subject stated that the dart itself was designed to dissolve within the body, leaving behind only a faint, small red mark at the point of entry. When questioned specifically about the existence of a heart attack gun, as it came to be known, was ever actually deployed against a target, the director asserted that the weapon had solely been utilized for experimental purposes, and that no official documentation existed to confirm its operational use. As a crucial component of the ongoing investigation, the CIA was compelled to surrender the firearm to the investigative committee. Remarkably, some rather extraordinary photographs exist, depicting committee members meticulously examining the weapon while William Colby fielded their inquiries regarding its functionality. Under normal circumstances, one might anticipate encountering a device like the heart attack gun within the realm of a spy film. It's a chilling thought to consider that, had the investigation not been initiated, the agency might have successfully concealed its utilization, leaving its true purpose shrouded in mystery. Who knows what ends it would have served? It's equally unsettling to ponder the implications. If this represents the level of technological advancement achieved in the 1970s, one can only imagine the sophisticated weaponry they possess in the present day. Disturbingly, this hearing marked the sole instance in which the heart attack gun was ever unveiled to the public. Even now, the ultimate fate of the weapon following the investigation remains shrouded in ambiguity. Rogue waves, those enigmatic giants of the sea, sailors, throughout history, have often been accused of embellishing the truth, spinning yarns about fantastical sights they claim to have witnessed during their long voyages across the vast ocean. And since there are rarely any witnesses to corroborate or contradict their stories, they sometimes manage to get away with telling some truly unbelievable tales. Stretching the limits of credulity, for centuries, mariners, from every corner of the globe, have shared chilling accounts of encountering colossal waves on the high seas. Waves that allegedly towered over 100 feet high, dwarfing their ships and inspiring both awe and terror. In 1826, a French sea captain reported witnessing a staggering 108-foot wave while navigating the treacherous waters of the Indian Ocean. Despite having 3 crew members who corroborated his account, vouching for the veracity of his claims, upon his return to shore, he was met with public ridicule and dismissed by the scientific community of the time. The prevailing belief was that waves could not physically exceed 30 feet in height, rendering the captain's story impossible in their eyes. For a considerable period after this incident, dozens of individuals, primarily sailors, continued to report sightings of these monstrous waves. These seemingly mythical behemoths of the deep. These encounters typically occurred in the vast expanse of the open ocean, far from land and prying eyes, but lacking concrete proof beyond the accounts of those who claimed to have witnessed them. The reality of these monstrous waves was relegated to the realm of myth and legend, dismissed as mere folklore or the stuff of conspiracy theories. Back in the 1980s and early 1990s, the Draupner oil platform was erected in the unforgiving waters of the North Sea, positioned off the Norwegian coast for the purpose of natural gas extraction. As a standard safety precaution, a series of tests were conducted to ensure the platform's structural integrity against the relentless onslaught of the turbulent sea. To this end, a sophisticated wave height recorder was installed on the platform, meticulously monitoring the ocean's every move. On the fateful day of January 1, 1995, as the world celebrated the dawn of a new year, the sensor registered an astounding wave measuring a staggering 84 feet in height, providing the first irrefutable scientific evidence confirming the existence of these elusive and terrifying rogue waves. This groundbreaking discovery prompted widespread speculation, leading many to question how many maritime tragedies throughout history, previously attributed to other causes, might have actually been the result of encounters with these treacherous walls of water. The sailors' tales of old suddenly seemed far more credible. Even more unsettling was the chilling realization that countless sailors lost to the depths, potentially numbering in the hundreds, scattered across the vast expanse of the world's oceans, may have met their untimely demise at the hands of a rogue wave. These massive walls of water are also sometimes referred to as monster waves or freak waves. And their existence was largely dismissed as maritime folklore because most mariners who encountered a 100-foot rogue wave were tragically lost at sea, unable to recount their harrowing experience. Their accounts, along with their lives, were swallowed by the unforgiving depths of the ocean, leaving no evidence behind. However, since the documented Draupner wave incident of 1995, a colossal wave that struck an oil platform in the North Sea, there has been a surge of interest and research into the phenomenon of rogue waves. Within the scientific community, oceanographers and physicists are increasingly intrigued by these enigmatic giants. Just a few years ago, a professor at the prestigious Australian National University made a startling estimation that at any given moment in time, there are at least 10 rogue waves actively churning and surging across the vast expanse of the world's oceans. A rogue wave is typically defined as a wave that is at least twice the height of the significant wave height, which represents the average height of the largest one-third of waves in a given area. While the precise mechanisms that trigger these rogue waves remain an active area of scientific investigation, a widely accepted theory posits that these monstrous waves arise from the fortuitous, and often destructive, convergence of two wave crests at precisely the right moment. Combining their energy, this rare confluence of energy results in a colossal wave, possessing the power to capsize even the most formidable ships. Interestingly, studies conducted on offshore oil rigs have revealed that rogue waves can also manifest in unexpected locations, can occur even in expansive bodies of freshwater like the Great Lakes. A chilling example of this is the tragic fate of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, a massive freighter, which mysteriously vanished beneath the surface of Lake Superior in November of 1975. The circumstances surrounding its sinking remain shrouded in an eerie veil of mystery, prompting numerous experts and researchers within the scientific community to propose a wide array of theories and hypotheses in an attempt to unravel the enigma of the Fitzgerald's demise. It wasn't until several years after the catastrophe that scientists began to seriously consider the possibility that the ill-fated vessel had succumbed to a rare and deadly trifecta of rogue waves, a terrifying phenomenon known ominously as the Three Sisters. This maritime legend describes a sequence of three monstrous waves, where the initial wave violently destabilizes a ship, compromising its structural integrity, followed swiftly by a second colossal wave that slams into the vulnerable deck before the vessel can recover, culminating in a third, overwhelming wave that inundates the ship, flooding it with an insurmountable volume of water, exceeding its capacity to cope. If this harrowing scenario were indeed the cause of the Fitzgerald's sinking, it could potentially shed light on the unexplained disappearances of countless other large vessels throughout history, lost to the depths of oceans and seas across the globe, spanning centuries of maritime mystery. However, definitively proving the existence and impact of the Three Sisters remains a formidable challenge. Toxic alcohol, a dark chapter in American history. January 1920 marked a pivotal moment in American history. The 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was successfully ratified, ushering in a tumultuous era. This amendment ignited a 13-year period known as Prohibition, a nationwide ban on alcohol. During this time, the production, sale, and transportation of alcohol were deemed illegal activities, punishable by law. The government implemented stringent measures to enforce this ban, attempting to eradicate the illicit production and distribution of alcohol, known as bootlegging. Ironically, these efforts fueled an explosive growth in the black market for alcohol, transforming it into a lucrative playground for organized crime, particularly the mafia. Authorities would raid one illegal bar, only to see another sprout up just days later. A relentless game of cat and mouse played out across the nation. Amidst this chaotic backdrop, disturbing rumors began to circulate. Whispers of extreme government actions. These rumors alleged that the U.S. government was resorting to drastic measures to deter alcohol consumption by any means necessary. These included accusations of intentionally poisoning alcohol supplies, a deliberate act to inflict sickness upon those who dared to drink. For a time, these allegations remained in the realm of conspiracy theory, shrouded in secrecy and speculation. However, this illusion of control shattered dramatically on New Year's Day, 1927, when a tragic incident claimed the lives of 41 individuals due to alcohol poisoning at New York City's Bellevue Hospital. Disturbingly, post-mortem examinations revealed a horrifying truth: many victims had ingested industrial-grade methanol, commonly known as wood alcohol, a substance lethal even in small quantities. It came to light that the government had mandated the denaturing of industrial alcohol by manufacturers to render it unfit for consumption as far back as 1906. Well before the Prohibition era began, but with the intensified crackdown on alcohol, the government issued directives for companies to incorporate quinine, methyl alcohol, and a cocktail of other poisonous chemicals to deter people from drinking. The rationale behind this drastic measure was that, if illicit liquor vendors were aware of the deliberate contamination, they wouldn't risk distributing it, fully understanding the grave danger it posed to their customers. Apparently, they failed to account for the insatiable demand for alcohol during that era, a period where the thirst for liquor was unquenchable, and unscrupulous black market dealers were indifferent to the life or death consequences of their tainted products on consumers. They simply didn't care who lived or died. It wasn't until December of 1933, a full 6 years after the tragic Bellevue incident, that the federal government finally relaxed its stringent, draconian policies on alcohol prohibition. They softened their stance on abstinence. But by that point, the damage was done. Thousands of American lives had already been tragically lost due to the consumption of contaminated alcohol. Gorillas. In this day and age, catching a glimpse of a gorilla at the zoo or on television is a commonplace occurrence. Hardly a reason for astonishment. However, there was a period in history when these magnificent creatures were relegated to the realm of myth, placed in the same category as legendary cryptids, like the elusive chupacabra, the fearsome Jersey Devil, the enigmatic Bigfoot, and the mysterious Loch Ness Monster. Historical records indicate that until a few centuries ago, gorillas were indeed considered cryptids, creatures whose existence was doubted and often relegated to folklore and legend by many. Rumored to inhabit remote and untamed regions, yet their actual existence remains shrouded in mystery and lacking concrete evidence. Numerous accounts of encounters with these enigmatic beings often proved to be elaborate fabrications or misinterpretations. However, in the remarkable case of gorillas, what were once mere whispers and legends eventually materialized into confirmed reality. Western explorers remained unaware of the existence of gorillas until the 16th century, when an English adventurer named Andrew Battle was taken captive by the Portuguese along the West African coast. During his confinement on the mainland, Battle documented unsettling encounters with colossal, imposing ape-like creatures that occasionally lurked near his campfire. Having never witnessed such beings before, he depicted them as monstrous entities rather than ordinary animals. Battle's account ignited a global fascination, sparking what can only be described as gorilla mania. Countless tales, often embellished and exaggerated, circulated about these supposedly ferocious and menacing creatures dwelling in far-off lands. Over the course of the next 2 centuries, the fascination with gorillas intensified, as explorers venturing into the heart of Africa sent back detailed illustrations of these enigmatic creatures to Europe. These depictions were often presented to royalty and emperors as exceptionally rare and prestigious gifts. If you were to inquire about the nature of a gorilla with any European during that era, their description would likely mirror our contemporary understanding of creatures like Bigfoot, shrouded in mystery and folklore, or the elusive chupacabra of modern legend. Gorillas were widely perceived as mythical monsters rather than ordinary members of the animal kingdom. It wasn't until more than 2 centuries had elapsed that an American naturalist by the name of Thomas S. Savage unearthed a gorilla skull in 1847 while on an expedition to the African continent. This discovery provided the first tangible evidence, confirming the actual existence of these elusive primates. Naturally, this groundbreaking find sparked a wave of new expeditions to the region. Between the years 1855 and 1859, a French explorer named Paul du Chaillu verified the existence of gorillas and even managed to bring back deceased specimens. Just like Andrew Battle before him, Paul du Chaillu also depicted gorillas as ferocious and untamed creatures, leaving behind a chilling image of bloodthirsty beasts that lingered in the public's imagination for years to come. Approximately a decade and a half later, A group of German adventurers returned from an African expedition with an unexpected passenger, a baby gorilla. Upon arriving in Liverpool, they even went so far as to hang towels on the ship, creating a makeshift playground for the young primate to swing and play on, keeping him entertained throughout the long voyage back home. As one might expect, the moment the ship docked in Liverpool, crowds of curious onlookers swarmed the hotel, where the gorilla was rumored to be staying, eager to catch a glimpse of this creature, once thought to be the stuff of legends, much to the public's surprise. However, Pongo, the gorilla, was not the ferocious behemoth they had envisioned, but rather, a charming and quite small, 2-year-old gorilla who delighted in playing with dogs. A few years later, in 1902, a German explorer by the name of Robert von Beringe hunted and killed 2 mountain gorillas, creatures of immense size compared to the small gorilla that the earlier German expedition had brought back, and that marked a pivotal moment, providing the public with their very first glimpse of a fully grown, mature gorilla in all its majestic glory. It's rather astonishing to consider that there was a time when these creatures, which we now regard as familiar inhabitants of the animal kingdom, were once perceived as mythical beasts, creatures of legend and folklore. Intriguingly, a closer examination of scientific records reveals a plethora of other animals that we now readily accept as real, yet were initially dismissed as mere fabrications, elaborate hoaxes. This includes such remarkable species as kangaroos and the peculiar platypus, the elusive giant squid lurking in the ocean's depths, and the formidable Komodo dragon, with so many of these once fantastical tales proving to be rooted in reality. It inevitably sparks a sense of wonder and curiosity. Just how many undiscovered creatures remain hidden from our knowledge, awaiting our discovery?